so jazzed.
Oh, dude.
Hey guys.
Sleeper.
Hey man.
What's up, dude?
How y'all doing today?
Great.
Good. Great.
So far, so good.
So,
Doing yo-yo.
Yeah, I read the Earthbound script. Super stoked.
Great
script.
script.
Fantastic.
Great script.
Really great.
Great.
I have one gripe with it. In the intro sketch, you guys put and I think I got this verbatim. Gerard gets knocked in the nuts repeatedly with yo-yos.
Yeah, I wrote that.
It sounds right.
It's gonna be great.
Yeah. Is there any way we could not do that?
Oh no, we are like.
Yeah, that's the
gotta do it.
best
We're not-
part.
yeah, it's
We've been practicing
It'll be
for a long
fine.
time.
It'll be fine.
You probably won't be fine. You're probably gonna be hurt pretty bad.
Tell you what, why don't you guys rock the cradle for like the next 6 hours? I'm gonna go get us some beer and
You
some
want to
food.
see Rock the Cradle?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Keep rocking it.
Oh!
Keep rock, dude. That
Lost
cradle
it.
was so great.
I lost it.
Keep rocking them. Rock
Can't
all
rock
the
it.
cradles. Keep going.
That's right. It's rough, dude. It's rough.
So, are we gonna hit Gerard in the nuts? Like, really hit him in the nuts?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's
definitely.
happening. Totally happening.
Yeah.
We're gonna get him good.
Yeah. There's no way we're not going to slam him in the nuts repeatedly with yo-yos.
Yes!
Earthbound and Mother 2!
Hey everybody, and welcome back to Fan Appreciation Month, right here on The Completionist. This week's game has one of the most outspoken fandoms on the internet, and finally, after almost 20 years, it's available again on the Wii U eShop. This copy, however, right here, was sent to us by Patrick Gurzy, who also sent us The Legend of Mana and Mega Man Legends 2. Patrick, thank you so much, and if you tuned in for any of the 10 weeks I spent streaming this fantastic game, this video, guys, is for you.
Hey Gerard, can you do me a favor?
What?
Can you use your psychic powers to do something for me real quick?
Sure.
Are you ready?
I mean, I don't have...
Stop this yo-yo with the psychic!
Ah! I caught it. I caught it. That was awesome. He threw it at me and I...
You have psychic powers!
Psychic!
Ah!
Earthbound for the Super Nintendo. After playing Majora's Mask last week, it's only fitting that I follow up with yet another entry on many a fan's list of the greatest games ever made. This bizarre RPG from 1995 was a failure in Western markets at release, but has since matured into something of a cult hit. This is a game that I've never played before, and I definitely went in expecting a masterpiece.
But Piedman, did you know this game's called Mother 2 in Japan? Why didn't you start with Mother? And what about its Japan-only GBA sequel, Mother 3? There's a translation out there, man! You should have nailed it down ages ago with your psychic powers.
My problem with reviewing the other two Mother games is that neither of them has ever been released in the West, and completing them before Nintendo officially releases them would make it less special when they eventually do. And for the last time, Greg, I'm not psychic.
Fine, but if it's okay with you, I'm still just gonna take a second to go hug my mom because I can't even mention Mother 3 without losing it, dude. Man, it's so sad.
Earthbound is the story of Ness, a young boy from Eagleland, a kookier, sillier version of the United States. A meteor crashes outside of his house in the middle of the night. His annoying neighbor Pokey then recruits him to go out to help find his little brother. Ness then meets Buzz Buzz, a time-traveling, fly-sized alien warrior who tells him it's his destiny to discover the 8 sanctuaries. Ness must use these melodies he finds to unite his power with the Earth to stop the Universal Cosmic Destroyer Gygus from conquering the planet 10 years in the future.
Whoa, that's crazy! How could a warrior be the size of a fly?
What?
That just seems like a really, really small size for a warrior.
Are you kidding me? That's all that stuck out to you that's weird?
Yes?
Yeah, whatever. The prophecy also mentions 2 other boys and a girl, Jeff, Pooh, and Paula, who will help you along the way. This gives you your first objective, and the story never stops being any weirder than that.
Yeah, I mean like, fly-sized warriors, give me a break.
Right. At the same time, though, it's unfair to write this game off as a weird, overblown novelty, as it so often is. The plot may be weird, but there's definitely some larger themes at work here.
Teeny tiny bug soldiers aside, Earthbound is a game about growing up and what it's like to be young, and Pokey's story echoes the one we saw in Majora's Mask about what happens when someone emotionally immature gets access to unimaginable power. Spoiler alert! It doesn't turn out super awesome.
Yeah, and what better genre to address these themes than an RPG? You grow based on experience. Earthbound just takes things a little more literally. It can take something mundane, like being out with your friends on the weekend, and interpret it through the medium of video games, applying the sense of wonder you get from the settings and mechanics of a traditional RPG to things you can relate to in your own young life, like shopping at the mall, or getting freaked out by old people, or missing your parents. It wants you to reflect on the times you spent playing it, and apply your experience to real life. Haven't you ever wondered which one of your friends is the white mage of the group?
Ooh, I'm the red mage. Or the thief. You're the beast master. Or the beard master.
I'll take it! When Earthbound was released, the SNES was known for its incredible graphics, and some reviewers judged Earthbound harshly for not attempting photorealistic graphics on the system. Instead, they advanced the simplistic graphics of the original Famicom mother into something timeless that looks more like a modern indie game, like Fez, than something like Donkey Kong Country, whose at the time cutting-edge graphics haven't aged particularly well.
Yeah, and this game took a lot of risks too. Certain portions are super psychedelic, or they directly address the player, or they just break the fourth wall. It actually goes out of its way to make you feel things other than fun, which was absolutely unheard of at the time. A lot of this craziness can be blamed on Shigesato Itoi, the man behind the game, or the curtain. No, he's behind the game.
Itoi is a huge celebrity in Japan. He's a famous blogger and author, a prominent interviewer and ad copywriter, and he even voiced Mei and Setsuki's father in the Japanese version of My Neighbor Totoro. He wasn't going to make a game if it didn't have some serious artistic intent behind it, and Earthbound is the most cohesive.
As an outsider to the world of game design, Itoi didn't take any part of its creative process for granted, and throughout Mother 2's 5-year development cycle, he made sure that every last thing was perfect. Just take a look at those graphics. Every town and area has its own unique vibe, from a tiny American suburb to the Buddhist Dalam.
Every character has their own personality, there are items and meaningless side quests and little things to see everywhere, and even the signs, probably the most boring thing in any game, come alive here with a feeling that's unmistakably Earthboundy. It's one of the first examples of a game that was made by an auteur. It was meant to be played slowly and taken in as a whole.
Yeah, and as you go, be sure to pay attention to the music. Earthbound's soundtrack is so good that for years, people thought all the weird samples and echoed melodies dotted throughout this incredible effort by Keiichi Suzuki and Hirokazu Tanaka were enough to keep Nintendo from releasing the game. It wasn't true, but man, it's a good soundtrack. How great is it when it says, "I miss you," near the end of Smiles and Tears? Heart-wrenching!
Generally speaking, when an RPG instructs me to name a character, I leave it as the default. With our 4 characters being so drastically different, I left them alone except for Jeff, who I named Gerg.
Why'd you name him after me?
Well, Greg, when you stream for 500 plus people every Sunday for 10 weeks, it's only fair that they get to contribute as well. One of the more endearing things I love about Earthbound is the action button and the use of buttons overall. Within the genre of RPGs, the A button is usually what you use to continue the dialogue and actions. With Earthbound, the B button pushes everything forward, but it also breaks it down into several steps, whereas all you can do to bypass most of the actions quicker, you can just hit the R button. The best part about this, it works on everything, even if there's nothing there. If there's nothing there, the text simply reads, "No problem here." I don't know, maybe I'm dumb, but I just think that's kind of funny.
Easily amused, are we, Gerard?
Go make a sculpture or something. Oddly enough, the actual gameplay in Earthbound is rather simplistic. It's a turn-based RPG based off the original Dragon Quest model, so where games like Final Fantasy VI were testing the limits of the genre, Earthbound was exploring the ways in which the simple gameplay can connect with the player. For example, no matter how strong you get, there's never really a time where you feel totally safe. This was done on purpose to make the game feel more realistic, but on the whole, the game requires much less grinding and questing than your typical RPG.
Yeah, plus there's a bunch more psychic kids and weird princes than usual. Wait, am I on drugs right now?
No, Greg. Earthbound just seems to be a game more interested in creating an emotional response in the player rather than honing its gameplay mechanics to maximize fun. Sure, it eliminated random encounters, which was cool, and the rolling HP system made for a couple exciting battle moments, but it creates much more interesting set pieces and dialogue with the player. Like the house with 3 walls you can buy and on it, or the coffee and tea breaks you take in Saturn Valley and Tenda Village. It's nuts. It's like you're supposed to think about playing the game as a part of the game.
It's like a gameplay inception. Gameplay within gameplay. Gameception. In-gameception. Interception. Leonardo da Gameplayo. Are you sure I'm not on drugs right now?
I'm sure. Earthbound just doesn't waste anything. We've all played RPGs before, so we understand how they're supposed to work, and Earthbound uses that to its advantage to convey its meaning more easily. It feels good when the game acknowledges that it's a game. Think about the idea of Destiny in Earthbound. Isn't it easy for the whole game to be able to explain every random thing that happens as Destiny? How else would you explain Prince Pooh joining you the way that he does? And doesn't it feel nice when the game admits that some stuff games do is silly? Like when Buzz is willing to repeat his dying words over and over again for you. It's postmodernism in game form, and it's done really, really well.
What? Prince Pooh? That's crazy. So you're not a psychic?
No.
And I'm not on drugs?
No.
Man, I need to yo-yo more. Need to yo-yo ma.
One of the crazy things about Earthbound that I love is the battle sprites for enemies. You fight some of the most weirdest characters on the planet. Yes, the actual battles aren't the most stimulating thing ever visually, but it's really hilarious to see some of these sprites. I mean, come on. Look at this googly-eyed duck. That thing is hilarious.
Googly eyes. You know, googly is one of those words that the more you say it, the funnier it sounds. I'm gonna add it to a whole bunch of movie titles. Back to the googly. Fern googly. Too fast, too googly. Short googly. All dogs go to googly. Star googly. Home a googly. I know what you did last googly. Jurassic googly. Around the world in 80 googly. Shanghai googly. Wild, wild googly. An American Tale. Fievel goes googly. And in honor of Harold Ramis, Googly Busters. Caddy googly. Googly Hog Day. National Lampoon's googly. And finally, Googly Bears.
So you've collected all 8 melodies and you've got your party of 4 together. You've been through a lot, but all the while, you've only caught glimpses of the true plot at hand through your run-ins with Pokey and the evil Many statue.
A scary statue that turns people evil. Where have we heard that before? Now available for free with PS Plus.
The 8 melodies then take Ness to Magicent, an area within his own subconscious, where Ness is able to fight his own nightmares and release Gygus' power over him. After he wakes up, the gang heads over to meet Gerg's father, Dr. Andonitz, who transplants their souls into robot bodies so they can travel back in time and stop Gygus and Pokey once and for all.
Man, Pokey's just like Skull Kid. Okay, Nintendo, we get it. Maladjusted, jealous sociopaths turn evil when they get powers. Look at the way he talks about Gygus, like it's an animal he can just sick on his friends. It's sick! Sick, I tell ya! Sick 'em, I tell ya! Sick!
Heavily armed Pokey is a tough boss battle until you realize you're not supposed to attack Gygus after all, and that Pokey's vulnerable to brain shock and paralysis. He goes down pretty quickly.
So I never understood, is he actually blue, or is the window just making it seem like he's blue? Is he Blow? Is that John Blow? Or is that Phil Fish? Hootie and the Blowfish! I only want to be over here!
What does that have to do with anything?
Fan service, Shirako. Come on. Now go ahead, tell him about how weird the Gygus fight is, and about the military policeman and the dismembered beauty. Tell him, Beardman! Blowfish!
But there's already hundreds of videos and articles out there about that, Greg. And don't try to tell me Gygas is a fetus either. I've heard it before, it just isn't true. Let's take him for what Pokey says he is, an undefinable alien evil whose own immense power destroyed his own mind. Now let's talk about how you defeat him. Pokey shuts off the devil's machine and Gygas is released. He uses attacks you can't even possibly comprehend, so you just need to focus on staying alive and causing damage until Pokey reappears, and the fight with Gygas' final form begins.
Oh, I've got the heebie-jeebies! How are we gonna get out of this one?
Well, as a perfect example of how Earthbound favors emotion over gameplay, to beat Gygas, all you have to do is keep your party alive and let Paula pray.
What? That's not a final battle? How is that epic? Why is that awesome? Why does anyone want to play this? I want to hear you.
Calm down, Greg. The prayers reach all the people you've helped along your journey. Soon, the whole world's praying for you, and Gygas begins to weaken. But it's not enough until, amazingly, Paula reaches out to you, the player. Sure, if you think about it, you can remember when Ness's dad asks for your real name. But in this moment, we're at the end of this extremely postmodern self-referential game, you'll be able to defeat the final boss simply because you want him to lose. It makes this whole weird experience worth it.
Wow, you look at the SNES and the SNES looks back. It's like Connect, but in your mind.
Gygas vanishes from existence, you and your friends are returned to their bodies, and after a long goodbye with Paula, everybody heads home and the game ends. It's wonderful, until after the credits when Pokey's brother Picky comes to Ness's house in the middle of the night to deliver a letter from Pokey that says, "Come and get me, loser. Spankety, spankety, spankety."
And we didn't find out what happened for 11 real-world years later. Western audiences still don't officially know. Bring Mother 3 to the West, Nintendo. They want to be with you.
Earthbound doesn't really have any completion bonuses, so I've combined this section with the struggle.
No completion bonus? But Beardman, why would you play this game? What's the point of completing the game if there's nothing to complete?
Well, Greg, to be honest, I started out doing it for the fans. But as I played through the game, I began to realize exactly what Earthbound's strengths were, and since this is the struggle too, I want to start off by saying that it certainly wasn't the gameplay. Covering up a 10-year-old battle system with some weird visuals and awesome music doesn't change the fact that other RPGs at the time were doing some amazing stuff with gameplay. Earthbound didn't do these things. While I don't think changing this would have made the game any more famous or memorable, it would have been nice to have a little more fun now and then rather than grinding a whole bunch and still getting my butt kicked.
Yeah, old-fashioned doesn't always mean perfect. Grinding Starman Supers for the Sword of Kings was bored. I want to be with you.
Still, I realize that this game wasn't about that, which brings me to why I completed Earthbound. Over and over again throughout this review, I've said this game is about your personal relationship with it. It references itself to create a dialogue with you, and you're the only one who can save the world at the end. Because of this, it's important to play the game slowly and absorb all of it. It can give you one of the most unique experiences on the Super Nintendo, but to do it, it's important to make sure you absorb every last bit, because the bonus isn't material, it's in your own brain. You gain insight into the world by playing it. It's art. Even though this is the first time I've played the game, I think Earthbound might be the best Super Nintendo game out there. Beyond the mystique and the nostalgia, it's a great piece of self-reflexive, postmodern art that was way ahead of its time. And it's funny, and anyone of any age would be better off having played it. Shikisada Itoi is a straight-up baller to have made this near-perfect masterpiece, and if you're one of the 10 or 15 people out there that owns a Wii U, it'd be crazy for you not to go out and buy it right now. Look guys, it might not have a completion bonus, but really and truly, completing it is enough of a bonus of its own. With that in mind guys, this game gets our completionist rating of completed.
I only want to complete it with you. And after you listen to the soothing sounds of Hootie and the Blowfish, be sure to subscribe or equip if you're on normal boots. Here's some cool videos you might be interested in, as well as Shirako doing his end tag thing.
That's all the time we have for today, guys. So as always, leave your thoughts in the boxes below. A very huge thank you to Patrick Gurzy. Thank you again, man. I really appreciate you sent us this. I'm going to cherish this for the rest of my life. And thank you for sharing this experience with us. I appreciate it, and I appreciate you guys so much. So thank you. See you guys next week for another episode of The Completionist with Dead Rising.
So since you're a psychic, what am I holding up? Do you know what that is?
What do you guys think it is?
Do you see what it is?
What do you guys at home think what it is?
What do you think what it is?
I'm going to take a stab and say that it's the Mario All-Stars Collector's Pack poster. 25th anniversary.
You got it!
I got it.
You're a psychic!
I'm a psychic, guys. Guess what? I'm a psychic.
He's a real psychic!
I just don't know.
Oh, wow, that's great.
I just don't know anymore.
How did you know what it was?
I don't know, man. I'm out of here later.
Doesn't this joke just go on forever? I think this is the new longest running joke. We're gonna have t-shirts that have this on it. It's probably copyright infringement, isn't it? Probably not a good idea. What do you guys think this poster is? Are you psychic too?